The realm. Do you know what the realm is? It's the 1,000 blades of Aegon's enemies. A story we agreed to tell each other over and over till we forget that it's a lie.
When I watched the Mad King die, I remembered him laughing as your father burned. It felt like justice.
Is that what you tell yourself at night? You're a servant of justice. That you were avenging my father when you shoved your sword in Aerys Targaryen's back.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back for another Game of Thrones Season 8 Endgame Theories video. Today I want to focus on Bran Stark and Jaime Lannister. I have talked about both of these characters in some of my other videos because I believe Jaime Lannister's fate could be intertwined with Bran Stark, but today I want to add a completely new layer to my original theory. As we all know, one of the big moments that helped kick off the series was when Jaime Lannister pushed Bran Stark out of the window. That is how the very first episode ended. And pretty much ever since I created my channel, I have been saying I think that moment in time could come full circle in one of the very last episodes of the series. In Season 1, Episode 1, Jaime attempted to kill Bran Stark, but I believe Jaime could put his life on the line to save Bran Stark near the end. No one would have thought this was possible after watching the first episode, but given the direction Jaime's story is heading in, I think it's very likely, in my opinion. If you've seen some of my other videos about these characters, then you already know this is what I believe, but I say all that to say this. I also think Bran Stark will actually do something big for Jaime next season, and I believe this was already foreshadowed in previous seasons. What's interesting is Jaime doesn't even know this is possible, but Jaime has had a stain on who he is as a character and a man ever since the show began. The Three-Eyed Raven told Bran he could not change the past because the ink was dry. A part of Jaime's past is literally written in ink, but Bran can change that. When the ink is dry, all you have to do is rip out the page and write a new one. Let me explain exactly what I mean by that. Jaime Lannister's reputation has pretty much been based around three things he is known for. Before Jaime Lannister lost his sword hand, he was known for being one of the greatest swordsmen in the realm. This was a big part of Jaime's identity, and this was one of the reasons why he was always so cocky and confident. Another thing Jaime was known for was being in an incestuous relationship with his own sister, but the biggest stain on Jaime's reputation is him being known as the Kingslayer. This is what Jaime was mostly known for, and at times you could see that he would even embrace this portrayal of a man without honor who could not be trusted, because he killed the man he swore an oath to protect. There were times when Jaime tried to deny murdering his king in cold blood, but no one believed him. However, very early on in the show, we started getting hints that maybe we haven't heard the whole story. Maybe Jaime did have a good reason to kill the Mad King.
What about Aerys Targaryen? What did the Mad King say when you stabbed him in the back? I never asked. Did he call you a traitor? Did he plead for a reprieve?
He said the same thing he'd been saying for hours. Burn them all.
This was just a small clue that maybe there is more to the story, and you have to admit that even in that moment, it appears Robert Baratheon might have even believed what Jaime was saying, because he did look a bit troubled when Jaime said, "Burn them all." Regardless of what Robert may have thought just then, it never ended up changing the way people looked at Jaime. Several more seasons had to pass before we finally got Jaime's version of the story.
Burn them all, he said. Burn them in their homes, burn them in their beds. Tell me if your precious Brandy commanded you to kill your own father and stand by while thousands of men, women and children burned alive, would you have done it?
In my opinion, this was one of the greatest scenes in the show. Jaime was a broken man, and what he told Brienne completely changed their relationship and how most of us saw Jaime as a character. The only problem is, Brienne is one of the very few people who know the story, and even if Jaime did start telling other people that story, how many people would actually believe him at this point? Jaime has always known the truth, and sometimes he would act like he didn't care when people called him names, but deep down this was eating him alive. Regardless of what happened that night, Jaime Lannister broke his vows.
So Jaime Lannister, Someone forgot to write down all your great deeds.
There's still time.
Is there? For a 40-year-old knight with one hand? How can you protect me with that?
I use my left hand now, Your Grace. Makes for more of a contest.
Even though we are heading into the final season, this is still the only thing Jaime is known for in the eyes of the realm. Jaime was a member of the Kingsguard ever since he was a teenager, and after all those years, he still only has one deed written down in the White Book. The only thing it says about Jaime is he killed the king he swore an oath to protect. Jaime does not want to accept this, and I can't blame him. Who would want to be only known for something like that? Just look at the way Jaime slams the book shut after Joffrey insults him. This is also eating Jaime alive on the inside. He can't live with the fact that he only has one page in the White Book, but he knows he still has time to fill those pages with something good. We see this again when Jaime gives Brienne the Valyrian steel sword, Oathkeeper.
Sir Jaime Lannister, knighted and named to the Kingsguard in his 16th year. At the sack of King's Landing, murdered his king, Aerys II. Pardoned by Robert Baratheon. Thereafter known as the Kingslayer.
It's the duty of the Lord Commander to fill those pages. And there's still room left in mine.
As you can see, this makes the second time Jaime has to face the fact that his one page only talks of him killing the Mad King, but he plans on changing that before he dies, and I think he will. If you read all the books, you will see that this has an even bigger impact on Jaime than it does in the show. There are a few other times where Jaime's either thinking about this White Book, or he's just staring at the pages, wondering what he can do about it. What we don't see in the show is, after Jaime gives Brienne the sword Oathkeeper, he sits alone in the room staring at the book. Then he starts to make some additions to his pages, and it makes him look even more pathetic. He adds that he was defeated in the Whispering Wood by the young Robb Stark during the War of the Five Kings. Then he puts he was held captive at Riverrun and ransomed for a promise that went unfulfilled. Then he adds he was captured again by the brave companions, and maimed at the word of Vargo Hoat, their captain. He was then returned safely to King's Landing by Brienne, the Maid of Tarth. So now, after these additions, it says Jaime killed his king, he was defeated and captured by a boy in the field, and held captive at Riverrun for roughly a year's time. Catelyn then sets him free on the promise that Jaime will safely return her daughters, which is something he never does. Then he loses his sword hand. Can you imagine what this must feel like? As if this book hasn't already haunted him enough. In my opinion, there is no way in hell Jaime dies without getting some redemption, and this is where Bran Stark comes into play. These two characters are destined to meet each other again. Jaime is already heading his way, so it's only a matter of time before this happens, and I happen to think we will see this pretty early next season. When they do see each other again, this will be a very big moment for both of them. Jaime will have to confront his past, and Bran will finally be able to confront the man who tried to kill him. Now, as I've said before, I don't think Bran wants Jaime to be killed for this. By now, I'm sure Bran understands that becoming the new Three-Eyed Raven was his destiny, so I don't see Jaime being punished by Bran. However, I'm sure everyone else in the North will have something to say about it. Not only that, but they will bring up other events from his past, like that time he killed his king. Everyone still sees Jaime as the Kingslayer, except for Brienne and his brother Tyrion, but that's not enough. Brienne has already been accused of being in love with Jaime, so of course she would take his side. She's been carrying around a Lannister sword after all, so even though Brienne is seen as an honorable woman, they won't just automatically assume she's right about Jaime. There is really only one way Jaime can have this stain removed from his reputation and taken out of the history books. Bran Stark has already seen what happened between Jaime and the Mad King. When Bran and Meera were fleeing from the Three-Eyed Raven's cave, Bran was downloading this information, and they even shown it to all of us.
Burn them all! Where's my sister? Burn them all!
Bran was shown this for a reason, and I think he will actually help Jaime in the end. He saw Jaime stab the Mad King in the back, but he also heard the Mad King screaming, "Burn them all," so he must know that's what caused Jaime to act. Now think about how everything has been building up to this moment with Jaime and Bran. Jaime pushes him out of the window in the first episode, Then in the third episode, Jaime tells Ned that when he killed the Mad King, it felt like justice, but Ned doesn't trust him. Later in the same episode, Jaime tells Robert what the Mad King said right before he shoved his sword in his back. Then in Season 3, we hear the story in its entirety when Jaime pours his heart out to Brienne. Then Jaime tells Qyburn he saved 500,000 people when he killed the Mad King. In Season 4, Joffrey mocks Jaime because he has no achievements written down in the White Book, but Jaime says that there is still time. Then a couple episodes later, Brienne reads the only paragraph written on his page, which is when Jaime killed the king he swore to protect. Then once again, Jaime says there is still time to fill the book with good deeds. Right at the end of Season 7, we find out there are now 1 million people living in King's Landing, and the current queen has no problem with using wildfire. Now in Season 8, Jaime will have one last chance to prove himself and change the way history will remember him. Bran will tell everyone what happened the night Jaime killed the Mad King. Now everyone should know it wasn't done in cold blood. Then Jaime can pledge his sword to House Stark. He can help them defeat the Army of the Dead, and if he survives that battle, he might be able to save King's Landing one more time. But instead of saving 500,000, he can save 1 million people. After King's Landing is destroyed and Cersei is dead, I think Brienne will find that White Book and make the necessary adjustments to Jaime's pages. Even if Jaime dies in the end, he can die knowing that people will not remember him only as the Kingslayer. Do any of you think Bran could help Jaime by telling everyone what actually happened the night the Mad King died? Will Jaime Lannister be redeemed in the end? Put your thoughts or questions down below. I want to thank everyone for watching the video, and I also want to thank all of my Patreon supporters. I really appreciate your help. I hope everyone has a great day. I'll see you again very soon. Bye.